This is so good, folks. I love it. I love it. Check it out.
President Trump had been reaching out to me, and I talked to him a few hours after the assassination attempt, and we had a long conversation by phone. I then had two extensive meetings, and there were issues, the broad issues that were most important to me, the ones that brought me into the campaign, which was ending the Ukraine war, ending the censorship, and protecting children's health. We're all reforming our food supply, all the things that we need to do to make our children healthy again. Those are all things that President Trump also wanted to work on. And he invited me to form a unity government. We agreed that we'd be able to continue to criticize each other on issues on which we don't agree. But these issues are so important in their way of unifying our country. We need in this country to reach a point where we love our children more than we hate each other.
It's a good unifying theme that I think a lot of people could get around. It's how we get there. That's always the devil is in the details. Have you all negotiated over or talked about a cabinet position, another position within a Trump government in exchange for your endorsement?
No, there's been no commitments. But I met with President Trump, with his family, with his closer advisors, and we just made a general commitment that we were going to work together.
What about the states where you're trying to get off of a number of swing state ballots to say, I'm going to stay on a number of state ballots, but in these swing states, I'm going to try to withdraw myself and ask my supporters, or at least you're telling them, think about supporting President Trump. Did you negotiate over which states you would try to withdraw from?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew which states they were. There basically is 10 swing states where my presence in the race would have helped Vice President Harris and would have harmed President Trump. So I'm going to get off the ballot in those states, and then we're going to stay on the ballot in 30 states. And, I'm encouraging people to vote for me in those states. Those are states where the votes, they're either all red or all blue states where their votes are not going to change the outcome of the race. But in the states where I would have been a spoiler, I'm going to get out. So it's about 10 states.
Okay, so there were reports a couple weeks ago citing an official from your camp and also a Democratic official saying that there'd been outreach to the Harris camp as well to possibly discuss you working within the Harris administration in exchange for an endorsement of her. Is that true? And what happened with that?
I reached out to them on the same basis that I reached out to President Trump, and we actually talked to other presidential candidates, including Chase Oliver and the Libertarian Party, about figuring out ways that we could end the polarization and the hatred and the vitriol, start talking about issues. And I was welcome to listen to anything from the Democrats that they were going to do something about the war, about the Ukraine war, about the censorship, about the child health crisis, this epidemic of chronic disease that has now disabled about 60% of our kids. And when my uncle was President, Shannon, only 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, over 60% do. And it's hard to find a kid today that's not been damaged by it. And it's coming from our food supply, from pollution in our environment, from toxics in our environment, and mainly from corruption in our government that allows that to happen.
You've talked about, or there's been discussion that if you were to join the Trump administration in some health-related position, that you have real interest in dismantling things like the FDA, the CDC, NIH. You would like to see a focus away from infectious diseases to what you're talking about, more chronic diseases. Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I woun't dismantle them. I would change the focus, and I would end the corruption of each other.
Wall Street Journal has this. They say it's a double-edged sword, essentially, that it may help President Trump to pick up some of your followers if they're willing to go over there. But they warn about what you would do in his administration. They say this: RFK Jr., if he's anywhere near the healthcare or environmental agencies in a Trump administration, look out. Mr. Trump's best response is to thank RFK Jr. for his support, make no promises about the future, and by all means avoid joint campaign appearances. You've already had one. Will you have others? Will you campaign for President Trump?
I'm going to be campaigning actively. I think President Trump is going to make a series of announcements about other Democrats who are joining his campaign. And you know, I want to make America healthy again, and so does President Trump. So those are objectives. You know, the Wall Street Journal may be worried about shareholder value for pharmaceutical companies, and I think, you know, I talked specifically to President Trump about that issue, and he said that he wanted to leave as his legacy healthy children, and that, you know, that that he was unconcerned about the other implications.
All right, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.